Okay, good morning.
Morning.
Today's date is January 9th. My name is Leah Michelle Cash, and I'm interviewing Beverly Jones Wright and ChaChe Wright for the Archiving Black History in the Inland Empire Project. Beverly, you spell your name exactly?
Beverly, and Jones, Jones, Wright, Wright.
And ChaChe?
It is spelled ChaChe, ChaChe Wright, Wright.
Okay, thank you. And we are interviewing here in the home of Ratibu and Wilma Amina Carter in the city of Rialto, California. Thank you, Beverly, and thank you, ChaChe,
It's our pleasure.
for this interview and taking this time out to conduct this interview with us. So what we're going to talk about is the S.E.L.F program. And so, Beverly, first of all, can you just give us a little bit of background about yourself in the Inland Empire in the San Bernardino area?
Myself or the S.E.L.F program?
Yourself.
Self. Okay, let's see. I am, I guess, 36-year resident
36
of
years.
the city of Rialto, and I have been blessed to have the opportunity to participate in many cultural activities and functions, including Kwanza, Martin Luther King breakfast, and any other event somebody decided. NCW, somebody decided would be good for us to make some movement about.
Turn program.
Yes, I worked for the county of San Bernardino for 35 pleasurable years. And I am so delighted now to be retired, doing whatever I want for whatever group. I am really involved in the Inland Empire Concerned African American Churches as their community development coordinator, and that seems to be the activity that takes most of my time these days.
Okay. So, now, what led you to the S.E.L.F program?
What led me to the S.E.L.F program was the excitement that we had the strong black brothers who wanted to be able to mentor and provide some guidance for young men. ChaChe, although he's always been a terrific, wonderful son, he was never a problem. However, I recognized that as a single mother, I needed to have more male influence. He has a great dad, but he was not really able to spend as much time because of his work schedule. And so S.E.L.F sounded like the ideal program for me to get him involved with. And indeed it was, because they were some highly motivated young brothers who really gave him some direction and guidance that I have appreciated even at his age now.
So what was the process? Did you just enroll him, or were you able to sit down and talk with Jeff Hill?
The process was, I think Jeff at the time and I were working for the county together, and as you indicated, I was the coordinator for the Turn program, and he asked me if I, would be interested in bringing my son to the program. He spoke highly of Maulana, whom we already had a close relationship with. And so I said, for sure, if Maulana's supporting it and backing it up, it's got to be all right. So they had us meet at an orientation meeting. I told a few more friends of mine who had sons who were ChaChe's age, and we brought them all down and signed up, and the rest was history. I think Terrence McMillan was assigned to be his counselor, and to this day we both stay in touch and see Terrence from time to time.
And how old was ChaChe?
ChaChe was about 9 or 11.
9 or 11?
I think I was about 11.
11 years old?
11 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely was 11.
Okay. So now with mom and son sitting here, what did you think when your mom said to you that she was going to enroll you in this S.E.L.F program?
I actually, I don't even know if I told my mom this, but I actually was pretty reluctant. My mother had me pretty heavily involved in a lot of organizations. And it felt like, oh my God, another one, Mom. But, it's, Actually, when we went to the orientation, what turned it around for me is my first best friend in life. We're still good friends to this day. He was also going to be in the program, and so that kind of made me feel less, awkward about it, and I gave it a little bit more of an open opportunity, and
To receive it.
to receive it. Yes.
Okay, because as it's pointed out in this article, you were one of the 19 young men that took part in the S.E.L.F program. So now we know that the S.E.L.F program was all law enforcement officers, and it was this 22-week course where they taught you the 7 principles of what?
Kwanza.
Okay.
It uses solid.
Okay, and in those principles, what is the one that stuck out most in your heart,
Purpose. Nia.
and why was that?
Now it holds firm even more so because of what's basically occurring right now, and throughout the nation with the Black Lives Matter movement, and so many young brothers being mowed down and killed by officers. There's a certain barrier that's actually, or rather a gap that's, I think, is emerging between young black males and law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, had it not been for this program, I might have been on the wrong side, or rather a side that was a little bit more antagonistic toward law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And this program actually not only gave me an opportunity to understand and respect officers of the law, but I understand that they're people just like us. Mm-hmm. And it can't be just all about hatred. It has to be all about progression and someone who's willing to come forward and do something. And it gave me purpose in knowing that it wasn't just about them versus us.
At
there were brothers
years old.
At 9 years old, because there
Yeah.
were brothers who were, my mentor, Terrence, was very, very hands-on. He always sat me down and just kind of gave me just little pearls of wisdom to really feel confident about myself, not to be afraid, and understand how to command respect without stepping on other people's toes or feeling like I have to out alpha male them, if you will. Mm-hmm. It was a very, very purpose-driven experience.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you went to elementary school, middle school, where you graduated.
I started actually in the San Bernardino Parks and Recreational Tiny Tots program in San Bernardino at Johnson Hall, and then from there I went to Concerned Christian School, mm-hmm. also in San Bernardino.
With Sister Moreno Valley, Judy White was the principal at that school.
And from there, went to Henry Elementary.
St. Anthony?
No, I went to Henry first.
Okay.
We went to Henry Elementary first, and then from there, that was when the classrooms were really getting large, and so I think my mom wanted us to have a little bit more of a smaller class unit, and so we went to St. Anthony's, also in San Bernardino, and then from St. Anthony's, I went to Loveland. Loveland Academy. Sixth grade, we went to, or sixth grade for me, I went to Loveland Academy. And then after Loveland, went back to the public school system. I went to Frisbee Middle School. Wanted to go to Eisenhower, but Rialto High School was built, and it was, I was going to try to press my mother to get me to go to Eisenhower.
Because Eisenhower was the spot.
Yeah. But my sister told me, she actually my older sister went to Rialto, and she said, why would you want to be a big fish in a little pond? Or excuse me, a big fish in a big pond, because Eisenhower was the place. Or you can be a big fish in a little pond. And that actually wasn't the case when I got to Rialto. Obviously, high school was high school, so as a freshman, you're going to be a little fish anywhere you go. But it did give me a lot of opportunity to to get a lot more friends, to gain a lot more connections. I had great friends that went to Eisenhower, still friends to this day, hang out with them almost every week, and I have great friends that I went to Rialto with, so it gave me a lot more connections and relationships to
And
build
networking
in both schools.
opportunities.
Graduated from Rialto High School.
So, going back to the self period and the empowerment that you received from the self program, how did you pay that forward? And how are you paying that forward today?
Actually, it's interesting because every time that I have an opportunity to speak to a young brother, I always make an effort to let him know that everything doesn't have to be about fighting and trying to be this bravado tough guy. Sometimes it's okay to just be relaxed. But I went to Morehouse College and got a degree in mathematics, and so every opportunity that I also have, I am tutoring. I was tutoring at Valley College for a while. Actually, this last semester, I'm also involved in a community organization on this UNC, United Nations of Consciousness. They recently acquired a community center in the San Bernardino area. I'll be tutoring mathematics there, and in general, my plan to pay it forward is just pretty much stand up and just be a positive male role model for anyone and everyone that I come across, young or old.
And being a Morehouse man, did you join any of the fraternities or frat houses?
That was not particularly for me, no.
Okay. So now, but you came back home and you're giving back to other young men in regards to helping them with math. So who has been your greatest hero and the person that you look the most to for your inspiration?
That actually was Ratibu. When I came home, he was one of the first people that I spoke to, and he had given me some really, really sound and strong advice that I'm always going to keep with me forever. I always admired how he took charge, and he always tried to make a way for the community here in the Inland Empire, especially amongst the black community. It's honestly going to be my dream to possibly be one of the torch holders, torch bearers in the community because of what he's done. I feel like that effort should never go to waste or never fall to the wayside. It was too much of an impact and too much work that was put in, not only by him, but Amina, my mother, and so many others in the community that helped me become who I am. It would be a disservice to let that go.
Do you feel comfortable with sharing the wisdom that he gave you?
Oh yeah, it was mostly about planning. He told me that I needed to establish a goal, but if I didn't set forth substantial, actual plans or steps to make that come to fruition and actually put that into action, it pretty much was just going to be a dream in my mind. And every day I try to walk and move forward with that insight and with that wisdom. It's a work in the making, but it's what keeps me motivated.
Yes, and that kind of stands out a little bit because all of those steps that you took on your journey through education, I know through a lot of those steps, there's a lot of nurturing people in all those educational environments. So we're typically looking at a child that had a lot of mothers and a lot of fathers,
Yes.
that they had their eyes on you, watching over you make those steps and those right choices. And even still with that, you still had to come to the realization that you had to make choices for yourself. And then leaning back on the empowerment that you received from the S.E.L.F program and from those powerful men that mentored you and nurtured you, you're paying it forward. So with that, if there's young people who are going to see this video 10 years from now, 20 years from now, what would you say to them? Especially those whose mothers are dragging them and taking them to another organization or another thing to inspire or help them.
I am the product of someone who was raised by a village. There were very many people in my life that gave me pearls of wisdom and helped me become who I am. Church, Boy Scouts, Wilbur Brown, Ratibu, S.E.L.F program, the Botillion. I mean, I could, Black Future Leaders. There were so many programs. But the one thing that I believe helped me to be a little bit more productive and move forward in life was just that I understood that these programs and the elders and the people that were in my life, they weren't giving me this information or redirecting me in these paths to try to control my life. It was actually a little bit more of an opportunity to understand how to control my own life with a better understanding of what I'm trying to do. There was no aimless attempt. They were doing it for me, not doing it for me as in trying to mold me into something or make me do something. It was actually helping me discover myself so that when I became a man, I will be following in the footsteps of what they had already laid down for me, the foundation, if you will, so I can build upon the foundation.
On that foundation.
And in addition to that, I actually told my daughter this morning that all of that actually still takes planning. That if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And to keep that in mind. Always move forward with an agenda.
And Mom, raising your children as a single mom, what would you say to mothers who have young Black males who are struggling and looking for that empowerment and seeking that empowerment? What would you say to them?
I'd say they need to do the same thing I did. Find any and every positive African American program that you can involve your child with, because certainly it took the load off of me. I didn't have to be concerned about him getting a one-dimensional message from me about what was correct. As ChaChe said, there was a whole village of people that reinforced what we wanted to see happen for him. And I'm so delighted that he didn't stray from that path, because the echoes kept coming and kept coming. The funny part about when Jeff asked me to, bring him to the program, I didn't have fond attitude towards the police either, because my days of hanging out with Maulana did not support, with the police. And so that was the irony of the program when he brought it to me. And I was like, dude, I wouldn't even want my son to be a cop, And he's like, hold up, hear me out, man. He said, because Maulana has endorsed it. I said, a cop program, is you kidding? But I was happy because even along with ChaChe, I began to see the police in a different light. Because, I would tease Jeff all the time. Dude, please, I don't have nothing to say to Popo. No, don't fool with me, And he would laugh and say, you hard, you cold. So when they came up with the program, I said, that's a good idea. Let's see. And it worked because ChaChe really had a good time. And like I tell Terrence all the time, he was really super, just perfect for ChaChe. Not too, overbearing and not too loose. He worked out real well. But all of them, Boat Wright,
Yeah,
you
boat
know.
right.
They did a wonderful job. Ronnie, it was fun. It really was a good time for the moms as well as it was for the boys.
They say that in a program, regardless of all of the activities and all of the advantages that they bring to the child, that if they can just majorly plant some seeds, just plant the seed, and then in time the seeds will take roots and they'll grow. Well, we are sitting before the growth of seeds that were planted from the S.E.L.F program. And so we thank you, Miss Beverly, Mom, for this interview. And we thank you, ChaChe, for this interview, because you are a dream. You are the product of many dreams.
Thank you.
And we thank you for doing this short interview.
It's my pleasure. My honor.